All right, as the title suggested, I fasted for 21 days. That's 21, not 2 plus 1, but 3 weeks, 21 days, no food, absolutely no food, not intermittent fasting, not this crazy new stuff, just the old-fashioned, you don't eat. But you do drink. This wasn't a dry fast. So water is fine, coffee's fine, tea, and diet soda, and a lot of pills. And to be clear, I'm not going to do the whole thing like a Mr. Beast video. I'm going to calm down. Okay, let's talk about this. Why? Why did I do such a thing? Well, to make a YouTube video. Why does anyone do anything? No, there actually is more to it than that. You actually can thank Mr. Beast for this one because, he kind of set a record. Well, sort of for him, I suppose. But he sets a record. I gotta break a record. I can't do it with like amount of, subscribers, but I can do it in other ways, like just to break a fasting record. I'm going to start with that. Now, his record was kind of 14 days. I mean, if you look at the timer and the hours, it's not quite accurate, so I think maybe 13 days. It's hard to tell. The thumbnail actually says 19 days, but that's not true, because even in the video, he says he stopped at 14. And the description has 31 days, so there's all these lies all over the video, which to me is a little odd because he talks about it in there and he's already got the subscribers. You don't need clickbait when you're that popular. So I was a little just surprised. It's like, why do you have all these lies? Just go with what you actually, did, which was about, 13 to 14 days. And the hours and the clock not being accurate, that was weird. But I had to beat it, so I was going originally for 15 days, but that got changed. And while I do critique it a bit for, that part, I do acknowledge that it was because of his video. That's why I actually started fasting to begin with a couple years ago. I had never even thought about doing more than a day. I didn't ever do a day in my life, but it was due to that video, and I saw, well, if he can do 14 days, I guess it's possible, so I started researching it. One thing led to another, and I did like 2 days, and then 3, and then finally 5, and then probably a year goes by when I did 7, and that was really tough because I didn't do it properly, and then another year goes by and I do 21. But yeah, like I said, I meant to do only 15. I wanted to make sure I broke his record because it wasn't something I ever wanted to do again in my lifetime. And I know I said that after I did a 1-week fast, but on day 15, I had already scheduled a DEXA scan for day 17. So I figured, why not just wait, lose an extra couple pounds on day 17. Well, day 17 came and I did the scan and it wasn't to my liking. In fact, I was no better than I was like 15. It just was actually shocking how they just said that much fat was burned, and I was disappointed, so I just figured, fine, I'll go to 21. We'll burn even more fat. So that's how I got to 21. I also realized I was probably never going to have a chance to get to 21 again because I'd probably never be at 14 again because I think the limit is probably going to be a week or 10 days for the rest of my life because it's not easy. So that's why I kind of figured, let's just keep pushing it. And part of me probably would have gotten to a month if I hadn't had other commitments. That's just my personality. But I'm not sure I actually covered why. I was obsessed about, my weight, trimming fat, always kind of been. That's probably why I'm thin today. I've always just kind of really worked hard on it. But I had too many IPAs over the past couple years, too much wine, too much candy, too much carbs, and kind of felt it was adding up on my sides and, my stomach a little bit. Lost my 6-pack, definitely no 8-pack, no V. All that was gone. I didn't like that. It didn't set well with me. Yeah, after trying calorie restriction and deficit, the easiest thing for me to do was just stop eating entirely, just go into a fast, because then you do it all at once. And once you get going, you start burning a half a pound a day. And to me, that's the number one reason why I did all of it. I just wanted to cut down a few pounds of fat. And I did. But as well, I wanted to debunk some myths about food and eating. I mean, I always kind of grew up with 3 weeks is death. Like you can go 3 weeks without food and then I guess you die. And that's not really true. I found out I'm alive. But it's just definitely not true, and especially for people in America that have enough reserves for 3 months, I would think. But the food industry, they don't want people fasting. This is billion-dollar, if not trillion-dollar industry. They make a lot of money on people eating as much as they possibly can every day. So the idea of skipping days is scary to them, and they're going to spend some money trying to discourage people. I mean, they'll encourage people to exercise and do everything else. Just don't cut down on that food. probably the #1 effective way to actually lose weight. They said, don't do that, do everything else. But so they don't like fasting. You know, there's not a lot of money goes into fasting. As far as how was it, easier than expected. I gotta say that, especially getting to 21 days. It was mentally tough. I think not knowing the final day actually probably made it easier, because I kept thinking, well, maybe tomorrow, and then just get through the day. And then if I had known at the beginning it was 3 weeks, I don't know if I ever could have done it. And the first week, like I said, I didn't do it very properly. I had headache, I wasn't sleeping very well, and I just was too low on salt, too low on sodium, wasn't taking enough electrolytes and magnesium and potassium, all the stuff you just need that food gives you, the vitamins, that I wasn't getting. Once I got enough of that, then it started going away. I had no more headaches, and the sleeping was better. Everything improved. I was still kind of hungry. There's always going to be that little bit of ache, but it was manageable. But like I said, it was sort of got into a routine of just wanting to get through the day, you know, sleep as long as possible, keep busy for a while, watch some tele, and look forward to sleeping again. So in a way, it's kind of counting the days, and you kind of feel like you're in prison. So that's not an ideal state to be in. And as far as did I reach my goal? Yeah, I mean, I wanted to do 21 days. I beat Mr. Beast. So, in fact, in his videos, I think he kind of over dramatizes it. You know, you do get tired. Everything is a lot of fatigue. I didn't really get that tired, but I also wasn't expected to do as much. I wasn't putting on these major productions, so I guess there's that. Yeah, I did reach that goal. It's just hard to exercise. It's hard to walk up one flight of stairs, and at some point I was doing like a couple hundred because I was going downtown, and I live on a hill. You know, got to get back up. So that part was tired. Yeah, anything. You can get up a flight of stairs and then you have to take a breath and rest. So you do get physically tired to some degree. You can get through it, and that wasn't passing out or fainting or feeling lightheaded, but it just takes a lot of work to do little things. Now, as far as fat burning, I did burn fat. I was down about 12 pounds when I finished. I would say about 10 pounds were fat. It takes a few days to get into the fat burning. You burn about a half a pound a day, even not doing any exercise, which was hard to do. But then that's what I estimated on the scale, and I tracked pretty thoroughly. Then I get asked about refeeding, like eating again, which is wise. I think people know from shipwreck videos or people that are rescued from prison camps or whatever, that it's almost dangerous not to take caution here, or at least you'll feel sick or be puking or have digestive problems. So you have to do it extremely carefully and slowly. And that was my plan from the beginning, because I had never gone 21 days before. So I started like in half-hour segments on the day I broke it with break fast, with a little bit of cream in my coffee, like a tablespoon of cream, so there was some fat, and then 30 minutes later some watermelon bites, just 2. There was a little bit of carbs. Half hour later, egg, that's protein, and then some cheese, more protein, and then finally 10 grapes. That's all I had. So I finally got some more carbs. In the evening, when I was supposed to be completely free, all I did was stick to steak. It was hot pot. Stick to steak, chicken, and green beans, because I wasn't ready to let go of the ketosis. I knew I was eating at that point. Also, being in ketosis meant I was still burning fat, even though I was eating food. So that's kind of a fun state to be in, but you're not getting energy back. So, I mean, to get your energy back, you have to have carbs. As far as recommending this, absolutely not. I mean, not that long. I mean, maybe short fast, but any fast, as I say, check with your doctor. Only they can recommend stuff like that, because it's serious. I mean, a change in your eating. Same way of saying, I want to eat way more than I used to eat or normally eat. Yeah, that's bad, but eating less is also bad. So I'm not saying yes or no. I would say research it. Obviously, start there. Watch some videos from professionals or certified doctors. Not just mine. I mean, I like to say only watch my video, but other videos helpful too. So that's my advice. That's my experience, and it's all I gotta say. So thanks for watching. Cheers. Okay, well, you're still here. Fine. I'll get into the downside. Since you came this far, you deserve to know more of it. I wasn't holding anything back except, well, I guess the downside. So there are drawbacks to this. Mentally, it is addicting. It messes with your mind, your psychology. Even after 3 weeks, I had trouble stopping. I did not want to stop. A part of me just said, yes, keep going. You're going to be burning more and more fat. Burn every single ounce of fat on your body. That's kind of what you're in the back of your mind is kind of pushing it. It is hard to stop every day. It was a half pound every 2 days. A pound of fat was off my body forever. So I didn't want to it to end. And that's kind of scary when your mind gets messed up. Going back to eating was tough. I missed it, actually. I kind of wanted to go back into the fasting. It was like a postpartum type thing, I guess. I just wanted to be back in that state. Also, when I did start eating again, it was insane. I purchased so much junk food during the fast. I was strong enough not to eat it when I was fasting, but when I was done, there was no reason or rules. I just went through Twinkies and candy and pizza and ice cream and just everything that I had been avoiding, I devoured. I could not stop. I was like a human garbage disposal. Also, muscle loss. It's a kind of a tricky thing because you can avoid losing muscles when you're fasting, but I don't know if you can get to 21 days without, they usually talk about like 1 week, 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, but 21, I think at that point you do lose muscle. It was weird because, there's no control group. I had nothing to compare myself against, but I found I could do 21 pull-ups, but also I was like 10 pounds lighter, so that should have been easier. When I went back to doing push-ups, I just felt like my whole chest had lost every single ounce of muscle I had because push-ups I was doing like 80 to 100 and I was down to I could barely do 20. So I know I must have lost some muscle, and that was disappointing. Maybe if I had worked out more during the fast, but it was hard to work out during a fast when you're not eating, you don't have that energy. And it's also been hard to gain that muscle back afterwards. I'm sure it's possible, but it's just been kind of difficult. I felt like I'm at a lower point than I would have been even before. That's been difficult, and that could be other reasons, age or diet. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I think. Well, that's it. My fasting experience, 3 weeks. Again, 21 days of zero food. It was an experience, and I learned a lot. I'll never do it again. I might do a week. I don't know. Sadly, this is weird. I'm back up to the weight where and this has only been like a few weeks, back up to the weight where I first started. I think the fat's still burned off because the pictures, I still like the pictures, but it is weird to see this little dip and go right back up and think, man, what was it all for? But again, I think the abs are there and more defined, but I'm just saying that's kind of weird. All right, that's it for now. Cheers.